After Mike Wolfe expressed his sorrow over the passing of his friend in an emotional episode of American Pickers, the show's ratings skyrocketed. After being off from the air since September, the 24th season of American Pickers began airing on Wednesday, January 4, with regular cast members including Mike Wolfe, his brother Robbie, and Danielle Colby. After receiving unsatisfactory numbers for the previous week's episode, the United States Sun is in a position to publish the ratings for the episode that will air on January 18. It was the third episode of the season, and there were 934,000 people who watched it. This was a significant increase over the episode that aired on January 11 and only had 797,000 viewers. More than 943,000 viewers tuned in to witness the first episode. It was described as bittersweet for Mike, who is 58 years old, due to the fact that he was honoring his friend who had passed away. Before the episode was scheduled to run, he sent the following message on Instagram: "Tonight's episode of American Pickers is bittersweet and very special to me. After the passing of one of my mentors, Elmer Dolman, his family called us to ask us to go over some of the things that he had kept in storage for many years. I am thrilled to be able to tell the narrative of this man through the objects that we discover. It is a motivational one, and I am not ashamed to share it with you. American Pickers will air tonight at 9 o'clock at 8 o'clock. A curious in ratings. Several attempts have been made by the show to increase its ratings. It was decided by the network to move the programs from Saturday to Wednesday. Afterward, in the second episode of the season, the show included famous guest Jack White from the band The White Stripes. However, the addition did not contribute to an increase in ratings. The debut of the 23rd season, which took place in January 2022, attracted an astounding 1,050,000 viewers. On the other hand, fans stopped tuning in toward the end of season 23, as the ratings for the show that aired on August 27 dropped to 829,000 followers. After taking a week off, the series returned on September 10 with 928,000 viewers when it was broadcast again. The episode that aired on September 17 received a total of only 762,000 ratings. The episode that received the lowest ratings since the series resumed its run on July 9 after a break was this one. For Frank, We Want. After the show was broadcast, fans took to social media to make their demands known and demand that fan favorite Frank be brought back. An individual expressed their opinion that watching American Pickers without Frank is like to watching the Patriots without Brady. It's somewhat of a bummer. Bring back Frank. That was the cry of a second. We are missing him. It's a new year, cried a third individual. We beg you, please bring Frank back. However, the presenter expressed optimism that the fan favorite star Frank, who had suffered a stroke in July that rendered him unable to work, could be able to return to the show. As Mike was traveling through Washington, District of Columbia in December, Capitol paparazzi approached him with the question of whether or not he would be prepared to make apologies with Frank, who had been sacked from American Pickers in 2021. Frank and I are friends, and he was just at my brother's graduation for his kids right before he got his stroke, he disclosed. Our friendship is a close one. If anyone is thinking about Frank in response to the question of whether or not he will ever return to the popular history series, I would hope that he's going to be back on the show, but right now he needs to get healthier. There is undeniably hope, 100%. In response to the supposed disagreement between him and Frank, he smiled and said, "That is not true at all." The firing of Frank. For the time being, Frank did not make an appearance on American Pickers until an episode that aired in March of 2020. He was recovering from back surgery at the time. In spite of the fact that the original cast member had expressed a wish to return to the history show, he was terminated from his position in July of 2021. In order to recuperate after the arduous back surgery that he underwent, which resulted in him receiving 185 stitches and 2 rods in his spine. Frank departed the program. While Frank was away from the program, he was able to shed 65 pounds and abstain from drinking alcohol. In addition, Frank disclosed to the United States Sun that he had checked himself into a rehabilitation center in Iowa for a period of 77 days to treat his alcohol problem. In the year 2021, Frank stated, "I went to rehabilitation, and I've been sober for 11 months now. Drinking was no longer something I preferred. Alcohol was a contributing factor in my mother's death, which occurred 5 years ago. She was an alcoholic. The death of my grandfather was a consequence of his drinking. I couldn't help but feel uneasy about that." Twice a week was the frequency with which Frank attended meetings after the stint. He continued, "I don't think I'll ever have another drink because I don't like the feeling anymore and some of the stupid things that I did," he continued. "I don't think I may ever drink again." In continuation, Frank stated, "I am in a fantastic mood. I'd like to get back into the swing of things because life is getting better for me. If I had done it 5 years ago, I certainly would have been a different person. I wish I had done it. It was the finest thing that could have happened to me, and I wish that I had done it sooner because otherwise I wouldn't be in the situation that I am in right now." An emergency in Frank's health. After a friend saw Frank lying on the floor of his house in Iowa on July 14, Frank was sent to the hospital for treatment of a stroke. On August 18, Frank's friends submitted a request for an emergency appointment of a temporary guardian and conservator for the celebrity, stating that his decision-making capacity is so impaired. He has been recuperating at a center that specializes in rehabilitation. COSTRS that are lauded. In an interview with the United States Sun in 2021, Frank disclosed the fact that he had a feud with his co-star Mike. According to Frank, "I haven't spoken to Mike in the past 2 years. Despite the fact that he was aware that my back was infected, he did not call me to inquire about how I was doing. But that is the way things are. Everything is stacked in his favor 100% of the time. For the sake of demonstrating how much, I can't even bend down that far." Okay, that's all right. The situation is similar to that of Aerosmith, with Steven Tyler serving as the band's frontman in this case. I found my place on the show. I'm currently in second place, just behind him. I don't have a problem with it, but it's possible that he does have a problem. In fact, he went so far as to state, "I believe Mike is trying to get his brother Robbie in there to have me replaced. I am really perplexed as to why he is acting in such a manner toward me." Using the items that he sells at his antique shop in Illinois, which is called Frank Fritz Finds, Frank even made a significant statement about the program. "I want Frank back" is printed on shirts that Frank is selling, according to photographs that were obtained exclusively by the United States Sun.